Very warm welcome to this Westport Civic Trust talk. I'd like to, I'd like to introduce Lyons, but I feel that really he actually needs no introduction at all. Liam is a born and bred Westport man who's been taking photographs since 1955, and I've had a quick preview and they are just fascinating. So with no more ado, I'll hand you over to Liam Lyons, who will take us through the early years of his photography, 1955 to 1964. Liam.
Thank you, Pip. We're just checking this on, the usual routine. Is my voice carrying through?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't want to be shouting. Now, I'm starting 55, as Pip said, but I might go into 1970 with some of them, a few. I'd have to go fairly fast through some of them because there's about 200 to view. And I don't want to keep you here for your breakfast. First I want to introduce my archivist, or archivist, I pronounce it, Carmel. And Carmel is working with me there and has been for the last 4 years preparing putting my collection onto the archives. It's tedious work, it takes a long time. We're about halfway through after four years. And it's very enjoyable though, and very interesting. Now when I started photography, I never intended to be a photographer. It came about in a strange way. The camera I had was very, very basic. You'd have to pull out the lens, out a little bellows out, and lock it. You'd have to wind on the film and look on the back of the camera to see the next number. You'd have then, it was a Zeiss Netter lens for any of those that might know something about lenses. It's a good lens. You cock your shutter, measure the distance between your subject with your eye, or walk like that, 3 feet, 9 feet, and set the camera accordingly. So it was very basic, very primitive. Do I see Ron here? Ron Rosenstock. Come on. Where is that Ron? Oh, I have to be careful. Ron is around, he's probably the most famous landscape photographer in the world now. Ron is. Anyway, that just to explain to you that the photographs in the beginning are fairly with primitive equipment. It gets better as we go along. I'm not making excuses. Just the facts. Nowadays you can take a photograph and in 5 seconds I can have it in New York or anywhere in the world. In that time it was a whole procedure in the darkroom and that, and printing on wet negatives sometimes and I was in a big hurry. So that's it. I'll start anyway with, which will lead into how I became a photographer, some of these pictures. And, that's I suppose it's a wet day in Westport. It says it's celebrating something that I don't really know what it was about, but it's interesting. There's little points in every photograph that's interesting. You see over there, that's the old Weybridge building. That's gone now. It was there. That's where the produce would have to take away their bags of potatoes and turf and everything else there. And there were tolls on the street then. They'd have to pay tolls. And I was a rate collector for the summer periods, and I used to have to collect the rates from the fellow that had the tolls. He wasn't happy about having to pay that. But anyway, next comment. Now this is Church Lane in Westport. You know where now there's Denola's up there at the top there, and I think Old Cabinet Hotel, and the Wyatt comes out there. This area here, the back of the hotel, and that was my Volkswagen there. Now my Beetle, the reason I had that was we bought it on the hire purchase myself and my brother, because we used to I'd photograph the dances in Ackle, stand up in the corner, take the photograph, the couple at the stand and stop and take the photograph, and my brother write down the name and address, and we post out the photographs to them, and it was 1 and 6pence for a postcard, or 2 for ½ a crown. He got a little discount, he bought 2. That was there, and you see Debra there, that place, you'd see it in the next one corner place. You see it there too. I was working there, I was doing night classes in the vocational school. I was very interested in metalwork engineering. I wanted to be a metalwork teacher, and I loved that work. And I was running that little business we had there for Bill Jamery, who was a teacher there, and I had 5 lads working for me there, and it was work I loved. That was in the 55, 56 next corner. Oh, I have to get back to to that again. I get back to there's a picture that'll remind me of it. This now was something in the pavilion ballroom. Now I don't know what meeting it was. We don't know really. We hadn't had enough information in the files in those times. In those times it was a bit training about filing and all that. And until 64 when I got married and made put some smack to me. We're up to that. Now that's interesting in this way. The only photographer in Westport then, for nearly 100 years, the family were in it. This woman here, Mrs. McLaughlin, and she didn't fancy being in the photograph, so she, and that's her daughter there, was quite happy to be in it. And she's holding the flash unit in her hand, because her son was taking photographs too there, and maybe at the other side of the room. And in those times, the flash unit, when I'd be doing work in that art, weddings, whatever I was doing, I'd have a pocket full of bulbs. You can imagine it. And you got a bulb and stick it in, and you get one exposure, it would flare up and go. And that was the lighting. When the electronic flashes came in, it was really... Are the camera club people here tonight? Oh, good, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because I might have to get technical with some of them. And there was a great crowd in the pavilion. It used to have the dances there, and that's where maybe and I danced many a night there. And that used to be all wet and weeping in certain conditions. It was galvanized or corrugated iron. Next, please, come. Now, this was customary. These are the things that was happening at that time. There was station masses. And the pictures on the wall, the old photographs, and that they were lovely in those houses. And that's Father Tom Lynch and Father Tom Cummins and Perry Riley and Mrs. McCraw. Thank you. Next comment. Now, this was the FCA and a Patrick's Day Parade. Now, this is an interesting point in this. It's 1950s. But you see, they all had their own 303 rifles, and they could bring them home with them. They had all, and see the bayonets and all in the margin. And all of these young FCA lads had these 303 rifles and ammunition in their houses. After that, you never see it parade again with rifles. Because in '69, when the trouble started, there was no more weapons allowed, or live weapons allowed. Next comment. That was the Cleary band, which one? Galaglass. Oh yeah, it's written there, yeah. The Galaglass Cleary band. They were very well known at the time. They were very, very popular. It's like an outdoor. Oh no, it's not outdoor. No. Go ahead, Carmen. Yeah. Better not delay on these. Now, that's an unusual one. See all those men. Can you see anything in common about every one of them? Pioneers. All pioneers with the pioneer pins. And it's probably even more than that too. That's all that could fit in the picture. Thank you, Carmen. Now, why I have this in one wedding, I just put it in one wedding, is at that time, women could not go inside the altar rails. Keep them outside, only men could go in there. So that's why I wanted to show that there. You couldn't go inside the altar rails now. So next. Now this was at the point of the quay, swimming at the point of the quay. And in those times there was no television or anything like that, and all people had a radio, some people had no radio even. This was at the point of the quay, and we all spent a lot of time there swimming. And next comment. Oh yeah, this is at the Canvey. And this boat came in, I don't know why, but a lot of people gathered there. Now this is Mrs. Malloy, shop street, Johnny Malloy's mother. And her hair there, it said she could go all the way down, she could sit on it. She was a lovely woman, she was a Cork woman. And she was interested in, all the Malloys were interested in boats, so there must be somebody she knew coming in at that boat. I think he came from Athley or Moran, I'm not sure which. That's it, the Canvey's hotel, I'm not sure. Okay, and that's at the Mall, we'll turn out for fun on the Mall. As I say, it was all self-entertainment then. There was no such thing as switching on the telly or switching on anything else. Next comment. Now this is the way people were dressed then. You see, none of the clothes they have now, the gear, you know, the light and weatherproof gear, it was heavy and it would get wet and that would stay wet. That's on a week Sunday. All right, Colin. Now this was happening nowadays, but it was happening then too, where people had to emigrate. And this was a friend of mine named Kelly, and he was emigrating to England, and all his pals got together for it. I know every person in that photograph, every one of them, but most of them not popular. right camera. Very well now. Anybody know that girl? She became very famous. Not this way. Finola Gale. She married John Brooke, and who became not only teacher, but he was also the ambassador, the European ambassador to America. And that was a birthday party. You know, I did her wedding too. You know, yeah. And that's just a little group of children, you know, simple people. No, there's nice simplicity in that picture. I like the simplicity. It's lovely. Yeah.
In March.
The dog.
Yeah.
That's 55 in that period. Yeah. Next camera. Yeah. Now this is the start of these go-kart races, and that's a great picture there. But they pull out some sort of a chute or something, let them go from there, and the octagon up high, and they go down James Street now. You see they're next door now, John. Now look at that for a crowd of people. There are thousands of people there. Because it was all self-entertainment, is what I'm getting at. No cars. It was easy then.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a lovely time. The next camera shows the winner then. But it's the finishing line, yeah. And see how dangerous this was. Standing under the wall, could fall back into the river there. The crowds. I mean, there are really thousands of people on the streets for that. You know. Those young lads had to build their own carts. Right, come. Now that's the winner, and he's Dennis Glennon from the Quay. His father was would you believe it, there was a station master at the Quay also, because the trains used to go down to the Quay then, and there were mostly goods trains. And the steam power trains, I remember I could see them from our house, and they go in behind the hill and the smoke coming up, and then go out into an opening again, you see it. And the track went all the way down to the Quay wall, actually. You know where the towers is now, that ran across the road and down there. And I remember a whole load of tar barrels being loaded on there and coming up, being unloaded there at the Quay. I forget why. That's Michael Eanan, I think. There.
I was going to say, is that what it is?
Yeah. Okay, Colin. Now these were a swimming club. Is that right, Colin?
Yeah.
They're all Westport. I know practically all of those. Every one of them, yeah. They're two of the Browns. That's Phyllis Michael Brown's sister. And I think there's another one there, and that's Jim Moore was the superintendent. That's his daughter. Breda's O'Donnell's sister, and Mary Malloy, Mary Burns of the Mad, Mary Gibbons of James Street, Joan Collins went to RTE,
Yes.
Joan from Mill Street. You know who that fellow is? I never had one.